3rd, 2021, my sister Mary Kate Tibbitts was brutally murdered in her home in the Land Park neighborhood. As I looked into the events that led to my sister's murder, I concluded that politics, and therefore politicians, killed my sister. But let me give you some details to back that statement up. First off, the person who killed my sister was in prison in 2018 for his second violent felony crime. But because of a lie regarding Prop 57 only applying to non-violent felons to get voters to vote for it in 2016, our current governor has applied it to both violent and non-violent felons. And therefore, this monster was released well early of his sentence from state incarceration to continue his preying ways. Second, the person who killed my sister continued his crime spree after being released in 2018 by our governor. One of these crimes was auto theft, which was decriminalized under Prop 47. He was captured but released even though he was a convicted felon out on parole. Prop 47 was the Safe Schools Act, so named in 2014 by our then Attorney General Kamala Harris. The so-called Safe Schools Act decriminalized various non-violent crimes, such as auto theft. It also reduced certain violent crimes to non-violent status, including domestic abuse and rape of an unconscious person. If there is still any question, the Safe Schools Act has actually made schools less safe. Third, when he was released in 2021 for his nonviolent auto theft, he was released on zero bail per the emergency COVID zero bail policy and disappeared amongst thousands of homeless in our community. He did not show up for his arraignment for the auto theft and therefore had a warrant out for his arrest. And fourth, while homeless, he resumed his substance abuse and therefore had to resume his history of theft to pay for his habit. Our city's unwillingness to hold responsible those who commit crime, especially in the homeless community, replace officers in a time the number of active duty police officers is in a state of free fall, and to enforce the law is the last piece of the puzzle leading to the skyrocketing crime perfect storm we are now in. Yes, there is an individual who killed my sister, but politicians put in motion the events that put him in my sister's house the night that she died. But some politicians make excuses, such as Mrs. Tibbitts is an exception and it is not really as bad as Mr. Tibbitts portrays. The facts say quite the contrary. My sister's brutal murder is one of thousands throughout the state, likely one of tens of thousands. And poor Mr. Starzinski is the latest casualty on that growing list. However, we really don't know how many murders have occurred because the state of California, specifically the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, refuses to share data regarding repeat crime of those who committed heinous crimes but were released under various provisions of Prop 47, Prop 57, and the emergency zero bail policy. And corrections is run by a political appointee of the governor. Therefore, politicians who refuse to act meaningfully regarding this travesty of justice killed my sister, Mr. Starzinski, and likely tens of thousands more. Our skyrocketing crime rate is caused by our elected officials. It's not happening in spite of everything they claim to be doing for us. This reminds me that politicians are like diapers. They need to be changed often and for the same reason. We demand that our elected officials take meaningful action to stem this surging crime rate. This includes more officers on the street and holding all people accountable, including the homeless population, when they commit crimes. And if they refuse to do this or simply point to others as the source of the problem, then we, the voters, need to act accordingly to hold these elected officials accountable. Thank you.